3 times. That's how many times John Frusciante left the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And somehow, every single time, it completely changed the band. We're talking about a guitarist who walked away at the peak of fame, disappeared into one of the darkest spirals in rock history, came back to redefine the band's sound left again, and then returned like it was part of some cosmic cycle. This isn't just band history. This is chaos, genius, addiction, reinvention, and one of the strangest relationships between an artist and a band you'll ever see. So the idea for this video actually came from something recent. There's been a lot of renewed attention on the early days of the Chili Peppers, especially around Hillel Slovak, the band's original guitarist, with a new wave of content and documentaries bringing that era back into focus. And if you don't know Hillel's story, it's essential to everything that came after. In 1988, Hillel Slovak died from a heroin overdose. The band was devastated. They weren't just losing a guitarist, they were losing a friend, a founding piece of their identity. For a moment, it really looked like the Red Hot Chili Peppers might not even continue. And then, out of nowhere, an 18-year-old superfan named John Frusciante enters the picture. John wasn't just talented, he was obsessed. He knew the band's music inside out, and stylistically, he fit in almost too perfectly. Anthony Kiedis once described meeting him like finding a long-lost musical brother. And almost immediately, the chemistry clicked. In 1989, they released Mother's Milk, not a massive commercial hit, but the album that started building real momentum. Then came 1991. Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and everything changed. The album exploded. The band went global. They became superstars almost overnight. And John Frusciante absolutely hated it. He loved the music, but the fame, the pressure, the spotlight, it overwhelmed him completely. He was barely 22 years old, playing huge venues, surrounded by chaos. And instead of feeling on top of the world, he felt completely trapped. And when you mix that with growing drug use, the ending was almost inevitable. In 1992, right in the middle of their biggest tour yet, John quit. No big farewell, no dramatic final show. He just left. And what came next was easily the darkest chapter of his life. Between 1992 and 1997, John Frusciante almost didn't survive. He fell deep into heroin addiction. His physical health collapsed. He became dangerously thin. His house was falling apart. His life was falling apart. There's this myth that he had one major near-death moment, but the truth is much heavier than that. His entire 90s was one long, slow, continuous collapse. And somehow, in the middle of all that, he kept making music. Weird music. Fragmented music. Beautiful, haunting, deeply uncomfortable music. It sounded like someone trying to rebuild themselves from nothing. Then, in 1997, something incredible happened. He got clean. And not long after that, the Chili Peppers, who were struggling again, reached out to him. In 1998, John came back, and this version of him, completely different, more grounded, more focused, and creatively on another level. This kicked off what many fans consider the band's golden era, Californication. By the way, Stadium Arcadium, 3 massive albums, 3 different sonic identities, all shaped heavily by John. At this point, he wasn't just the guitarist. He was the emotional core of the band's sound. But around 2008, history started repeating itself. John became more interested in electronic music, in experimentation, in exploring new creative directions outside the band. He slowly distanced himself. stopped touring, stopped showing up, and in 2009, he left again, quietly. No chaos this time, just gone. Alright, quick pause here. If you're enjoying this kind of deep dive story, hit the like button. It really helps the channel more than you think. And I want to hear from you. What's your favorite era of John Frusciante? Are you more into the raw blood sugar days or the melodic Californication era? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Now here's where the story takes another interesting turn. Because when John left in 2009, the band didn't start from zero. Entered Josh Klinghoffer, and Josh wasn't a random choice. He had been close to John for years. They collaborated on solo projects. He joined the band on tour back in 2007 as a multi-instrumentalist, helping bring those complex live arrangements to life. So when the time came, Josh stepped in, not to replace John because that's basically impossible, but to carry the band into a new era. And he did exactly that. For 10 years. Albums, world tours, a completely different phase of the Chili Peppers. And then, December 2019, out of nowhere, Josh is out. John Frusciante is back. Again. And this time it feels different. In 2022, they released Unlimited Love and Return of the Dream Canteen. And this version of John feels stable, healthy, present, still creative, still a little unpredictable, but no longer running from anything. It finally feels like he's there because he wants to be, not because he's trying to escape. And maybe that's why this story hits so hard. Because it's not just about music. It's about losing yourself, rebuilding, and somehow finding your way back. Not once, not twice, but 3 times. And if you want another story about rock chaos that somehow worked out, check out the video here on the channel about Axl Rose stepping in for AC/DC. Because trust me, that story is just as unbelievable. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.